Hey guys, I'm back. So before I get too far into this, a continuation of where we just left off, I just want to know if you guys can see the feed okay, and if you can't, I'm not sure. I just checked my Wi-Fi and my other signal and everything was working good. So let me know if you can see me, if I'm breaking up or not. I hope you can. So I just sort of left off talking about cleaning and how important that is. Catherine, can you see me okay? Catherine Chase. I got these little pad, like wipey pads at Dollar General, I think. Hi, Kristen. All right, sounds better? Okay, good. So I'm using White Lightning Cleaner from Dixie Belle, which you can get all of that stuff on my website, pickedandpolishedblog.com. Thanks for hopping back on, guys. Sorry about that. I don't know. It's been super duper windy here today, like really cold and windy. So I don't know. That must have been what the problem was. But I reset everything. So I'm just going to give this a good cleaning with White Lightning Cleaner. And, you know, a lot of times wooden stuff, you guys, even if it looks super clean or even if you clean it with soapy water, it still has an oily residue from oil-based cleaners that people have been using on them for years. So if you want to be able to use, okay, I'm not freezing. Hi, Melody. So if you want to be able to use Dixie Belle Chalk Mineral Paint with, you know, very little effort, you just really need to make sure that you're cleaning and rinsing really, really well. If you do those things properly, the adhesion should be really good. As long as you're not dealing with glass, metal, tile, those are things you would want to definitely have. Let's see. Hi, guys. They're from Dollar General, Caitlin. So those are definitely things you would want to use Slick Stick on. And depending on whether or not I thought this would bleed, I'm not like overly worried about this. The finish doesn't look like it's been like compromised on it. And I want that farmhousey look. So if this bleeds a little bit onto the drop cloth color that I'm going to use, I'm like okay with that. But you can use a product called Boss if you want to prevent bleed through with like a dark stain underneath a light color. You don't always need it. I just usually recommend to test it first. Make sure you clean, rinse, use the paint, use a little bit of the clear coat, because sometimes with paint, what a lot of people don't understand is that sometimes it looks like it's bleeding, but really what's happening is or they think that the clear coat is causing it to yellow or discolor. But what happens is you'll go to paint maybe something like this, let's say with like a cotton color, and you go to, and it looks fine, and you go to put the clear coat on, and then suddenly it looks yellow and dingy and dirty. So what's actually happening is that if you're using a Dixie Belle clear coat, they don't yellow, they're water-based. They dry crystal clear and they stay that way. But what's happening is those clear coats suck the tannins and the stain, the old stain, through the paint. And then you're seeing, that's where you're seeing the yellowing and discoloration. So if you're worried about things like this bleeding, I would highly recommend that you just do a test, you know, clean, rinse, paint, put a little clear coat, you know, in the areas. And sometimes it just might be a spot where maybe the original clear coat finish got scratched off, and that just that little spot might bleed. And you could just use the product called Boss to stop the bleed through in those little areas. So you want to clean really well. Oops, there's a little spider. With a lint-free rag. I'm just going to go ahead and flip this bad boy around. I'm not going to spend too much time cleaning, you guys, because I know you don't want to sit here and watch me clean all night. But I just want to get this surface, you know, really wiped up. I'm just going to be painting the outside of this tonight, so that's what I'll focus on. But for those of you that are just joining, I've decided that for the month of June, instead of focusing on like a particular type line of product or finishes, I'm going to focus on helping you learn how to repurpose and find thrifty finds and what you can do with those things, how you can combine things that you have kicking around in your house and make something beautiful. A lot of times we always think we have to go buy things, but You never know. You find a couple things at a yard sale and suddenly you put them together, you throw some paint on them, and they become this whole new piece of decor for your home. It doesn't matter, Caitlin, really, like if you do that. So the cleaner, good question, it doesn't smell at all and it looks like water. So that's why I have it labeled all over. I have the measurements, I have that it's white lightning because I have little kids and I never want them to mix this up with water because it could easily be mixed up with water. I guess, you know, just because it's clear, it has no smell, but it's still a caustic cleaner. So it's a TSP based cleaner. So you still definitely want to label that once you get it into a spray bottle. So it doesn't really matter. Like you can, you know, spray first and wipe after or whatever. So I'm just kind of going over this really good. I'm getting all the cracks, crevices, crooks, and crannies on the outside. The inside, you know, I would, if I weren't going live right now, I would clean that too. But for now, I'm just going to get the outside done. Because that's the area we're going to be working on tonight. And then, let's see, I don't have a clean cloth out here. I thought I had two. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just flip it around. Ideally, I would take a totally different cloth and rinse this with water. So I'm just going to rinse. I want to rinse that residue off from the white lightning. Make sure there's no cleaning residue left on this basket. So I'm just going to wipe that off. Make sure there's nothing left. All I had in that sprayer was water. So I'm just rinsing with water, getting that residue off. Same thing on this side. I'm just going to spray with water. And this is going to be a really rustic farmhousey finish that I'm going to do on this. So, you know, even if it chips off in a few spots, I'm okay with that. But I wanted to teach you guys the right way. Yeah, it really doesn't have any smell, but they do recommend that you wear gloves. So do as I say, not as I do. This is one of those situations. You want to wear the gloves. I don't wear the gloves, but you should wear the gloves. Hi, Sylvia. Thanks for hopping on, you guys. So Sylvia, this whole month of June, we're going to be focusing on like thrifty finds. I'm going to be digging through my basement and my garage and seeing what I have because you guys in the DIY Decor Makers group, you DIY Decor Divas, you guys, I need to make you guys t-shirts. I love you, Donna. Hi, Colleen. So you DIY Decor Divas, you've inspired me because a lot of you took the monthly project from May. And some of you did your own thing with it based on what you had kicking around. And we had talked about that, but I was so excited to see some of you guys do that too. So yay for you on that. I think I've cleaned it all and wiped it all. And we're going to let it kind of dry a little bit here. Let me just take my hair dryer really quick. I know this is super annoying, but it speeds up the process. I'm going to dry it. At least on this side. Make sure it's dry and then I can start painting. So this technique, I'm just going to take some wax, some white tea light candle, and I'm just going to go ahead and just start kind of rubbing it in various spots. Just kind of, it's one of my favorite techniques to do. I'm going to start on the front and I'm going to be careful not to get it like super like patterny. And one of the girls in our group, was it Melody? Was it you? You like have this down to a science, girl. You could teach this technique 10 times over me because you did like layering and you scraped and then you did more layers of color. And I was like I had some serious chippy envy after I saw your piece that you did in the group. It was amazing. Are you Dixie Gals inspire me to get my butt in gear sometimes? And and then I see something. Oh, I missed the rest of your comment, but I'll go back and read these. Oh my gosh, awesome, Rhonda. Can't wait to see. Will you share with us? That's okay. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of dry brush my paint on. I've got Dixie Belle's drop cloth. And you guys will notice that I don't have as many as my squirt bottles around, and it's because we're setting up something very special at the Altered Studio locally. I'm not totally ready to squeal all the juicy details yet, but I will. Oh man, yeah. So was it Melody? Was it you that did that? You did the double-sided thing. It looked so cool. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of brush on my paint. See how I'm not like totally covering it? And that way if I wanted to go in on like with different layers, I could. But look already what a difference that makes. It kind of resembles my wall, right? A lot of people ask me how I got that look. And just, it's just so simple. You just tap a bunch of paint on your brush. You know, see, I have just like a little bit on my lid. I'm just tapping it on. Hi, Rima. And I'm just gonna go ahead and brush and I love it because this wood already has texture, you guys. It already has some like, you know, the wood grains are already like visible. So that's gonna make it even more sort of authentic looking, I think. I'm just gonna do this wherever I have already added the wax in certain areas. And so then that's going to dry pretty quickly. And when it dries, I can go over it with a scraper because you guys know I love me some scraper. I'm going to go ahead and scrape some of this off. So in the meantime, I'm just going to keep turning, just kind of rubbing, getting some of that goodness, waxy goodness all over the place. Just don't want it to look too like a person did it. You know what I mean? So here we go. You can see, you guys, I don't have a ton of paint on my brush. Okay, I'll bring it closer. And I'm just kind of giving it, let's see. Again, just a little bit of paint and then I'm tapping it off. And you can do this technique on furniture too. It looks amazing on furniture. And I just cross hatch it so that it looks a little bit more like random. And if I always recommend, especially in my workshops, that people go like left to right and they keep their brush wide. What kind of wax am I using? So I'm just using a tea light candle right now. It's just white. It's just a basic, pop it out. I bought a bag of them for like $1 or something. So I'm going to let that dry. And I bet you this other side is probably well on its way to being dry. It's pretty close. We're going to let it dry a little bit more. I'm going to do this side. Let's see. I go into more detail on all the finishes that I teach live in my DIY Decor Makers group. The doors aren't open yet though and won't be for a little while, but you can definitely go to my website and subscribe so that you get the invite when the doors open back up. But this is just sort of a quick, brief intro to this technique. I thought it would be really fun to do to kick off our thrifting adventure for June. We're going to be digging through my garage. I'm going to show you some embarrassing things that I might find, what might be laying around in my basement. You guys are probably going to be horrified, but the cool thing is by the end, I'll have all these cool repurposed treasures, right? And then hopefully I'll inspire you to try something new or do something to something you have kicking around. So Melody, you are the master, my friend, at this finish. Okay. So you did a bunch of layers. So that's the other thing about this. You could do this in layers, not just with like 2 colors. So keep that in mind. And then I'm just going to go ahead and scrape. Oh yeah. Do you see how where it's got thicker paint, it's more chippy looking? Whereas like on the areas that aren't as thick, it's not as chippy looking. So if you want a really chippy look, probably a little bit more paint. See right there? I could even scrape up and down. That gives me a different feel right there if I do that. You just have to kind of keep at it. It's a really good finish to do if you're annoyed or stressed out, because you can just let you know, scrape to your heart's, you know, content until you feel better about life. All right, so you just keep scraping. There's really no, like, it's not like a, you know, and every time I do this, I get a completely different finish. Like, it doesn't ever look exactly the same, and that's what I love about it. You can do it a bunch of different ways. There's no right or wrong. Let's see what's happening on this side. This side's still pretty wet. Let me take a look here. Let's just see what happens while it's still a little bit wet. So now I'm just kind of, it's blending the paint because it's wet, which I kind of like. And it's also pulling some of the paint off. So you can do it when the paint's still a little damp. And you'll get a different effect, but it'll still be like rustic and farmhousey. So I'm just using like a flat scraper to do this, nothing fancy. See that? See how now it's got some serious texture? It doesn't look the same as like this side. See the difference? Right? It's so good. So yummy. All right, let's see. So that's that side. Let's see what happens if I paint. I'm going to do some wax on this one, and this time I'm going to go a little bit heavier with the paint and maybe with the wax, and we'll just see what happens. Just kind of pushing it. I don't want it to look even because then it will look like I did it. So I'm just kind of randomly rubbing it. All right, now, you ready? I'm gonna put a little bit more paint. Yes, Rhonda, it's one of my favorite. What kind of scraper? Oh my gosh, I use, to be honest, like in my workshops and stuff, and sometimes on bigger pieces, I'll use like those little dollar ice scrapers, like they're in, you can hold them in your hand. Shoot, if I had one, I'd show you. They're like, I bought them at like the hardware store. And they're made for ice, but this one is my poor, sad little Cricut machine scraper that isn't really meant to be scraping paint, but I love it because it's small. Hi, Lori. You can use Vaseline too. Yes, anything that resists paint you can use. I've done that technique many times before. I feel like the wax gives me a little bit more of an organic feel. But I'm going to go a little bit heavier with the paint this time. No, I'm not going to like go super duper heavy, but I'm just going to show you maybe there's like a difference in the way that the two sides look if I go a little heavier. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's nice to see the comparison. Because then you kind of know maybe what you prefer. If that makes sense. Did you guys just hear that cow mooing? Yes. All right. So like this area has a lot of wax on it. So we'll see what happens when I pull that off. There we go. Just gonna keep going here. There we go. Get in those cracks and crevices, crooks and crannies. That also needs to be another t-shirt, don't you guys think? Cracks, crevices, crooks and crannies. All right. So, so now, okay, so this side is done. I'm gonna check on this side. We're gonna do some scraping here because this is dry. And then I'll turn it and do, oh, hey, Jane, do you love it? All right, so Jane did an amazing, like she had this old wooden box that she wanted to repurpose for her fire, for her kindling. And she ended up doing it in like an Americana finish, which you guys will see if you subscribe to my newsletter at pickedandpolishedblog.com, which I need to put in the description box. Because I'll be sharing some tips with you guys, and I've got some great pictures to share from that workshop, the boot camp. But she did a rusty star on the front of hers, along with a red, white, and blue finish. Like, can you guys see, I didn't use enough paint on this side, so there wasn't really much for the wax to resist. So no big deal. I kind of like it when I mess up because then I can have like a teachable moment with you and I can just go back over it. It's not the end of the world. I can just add more paint and scrape some more after and see what happens. Okay, so I didn't really like that because I feel like there wasn't enough paint to even scrape off. So let's see about this side. I'm gonna run my dryer on really quickly and then we'll do some scraping and see what it looks like with the scraper. This paint dries really fast, especially with a hair dryer. Yeah, Donna, I do too, I think. Hi, Connie. Oh, I bet you're finding all kinds of cool stuff. Lori. Okay. All right, so it's still a little bit damp, but we're gonna give it a go anyway and see what happens. All right, I think I like it better when you scrape and you've got more paint. Yeah, like see right there, you guys? That's what I'm talking about. Right there. Do you see how that looks chippy? It's because I went heavier with the paint. Right there. It's got more to kind of pull off and grab onto, so it's gonna, plus my scraper probably isn't the best. Like you can see I've overused it. It's got a little bit of buildup on it. So if I had a flatter scraper, it probably would work. But like right there, see what happens? Love it. Okay. So, all that chippy goodness, you guys. Right there. Definitely, I think with this technique, if you really want the chippy feel, a little bit more paint is better. You don't want to go too overboard because then you'll have a hard time pulling it off, but I don't know if I did a lot of wax under here, but so now you can see the difference, right? Can you guys see how that pulled off different areas? And I like how it's uneven. We'll see how this end does. Got a little bit more paint on it now. It's still wet. But look what happens when you move around the wet paint. It's almost like my layered spatula technique. I don't even know if you can call that a technique, you guys. We need to come up with a really fancy name for that. When I pull my spatula out and I scrape with it and I paint with it, we need to come up so we can feel fancy when I'm doing it. So, anyway, so yeah. So this gives definitely an organic sort of chippy feel to the finish, and you can keep going back over it. You could use a better scraper and you would definitely pull off more paint. This has a little bit of buildup on it, so the edge isn't great, but you get the idea anyway. Also, if you kind of cross hatch it, you'll pull off areas that you may not have pulled off before. Let's see. All right, so here's our little clam basket makeover, and I would definitely paint the inside. I could even do the inside like a different color, maybe like a sea glass or something coastal might be fun. So this is the side with less paint. This is the side with more paint. See the difference with the chippiness, right? It's good that I did that. Now you can compare. So some of you might like this look better, a little more subtle. And some of you might like a little more texture. So go a little bit heavier with your paint if you want that look. And definitely because this has some texture to it, in wood green to it, it's gonna really give me that nice uneven sort of organic chippy feel anyway when I do this. So I hope you guys like tonight's tutorial, and I hope you're super excited as I am to dive into some junking with me. And really, I'm gonna just kind of be explaining my process, because I know some people will look at things and think I don't even know what to do with that. And others of you are already doing that anyway, so you'll find it interesting and fun. And you guys can give me some feedback on what you think I should do next. So get ready, buckle up, friends. It's going to be a fun ride for June, and I can't wait to see you guys next time when I go live. Thanks for hopping on tonight, guys. Bye.